Hello, everyone. I am Miss Catherine Tlaridon Masters, Higher Wage Woman, aka the TLG. I had just done a recording about experience that I had with reptilians, and it didn't go as well as I wanted it to go, and I know that I can do much better. And so many of you have been very kind and understanding, and I surely appreciate. Thank you for being so understanding and kind towards me. That understand that um, my situation that I really don't like talking a lot about, but like so many people that yeah, serious, very very serious health problems compromise the ability to give good quality work. Um, I'm really trying to work on getting back to where that I used to be at. Um, so I'm going to talk to you about. I cannot remember the exact timeline of it, but I can get it in there within the guesstimation of between 2008 to 2011. Um, Now, some people will say that, well, this is just a dream, but to those who are in the know that they are able to make it seem like um, that you're having a dream. They have a ability to kind of, when you go to sleep, that they can put you kind of in a hypnotic state, and you are a lot more active doing things where that in your mind you're only thinking, well, this is really just a dream, but in truth, no, it really isn't. It wasn't just a dream. This stuff really did take place, especially when you know that the type of dreams that are very typical to you, and ones that are very exceptionally atypical, that yeah, it's a and it's kind of those that you only talk about with very, very close inside inner circle people. So I want to focus just on it, and I welcome constructive criticism. If you see things that I can improve on, please do share. I With your feedback, that's how that I could hone my skills back in again. I used to do a lot of talk shows, lots of internet talk radio shows, and I had to stop because the information that I gave was so well, and people were doing so much so well and winning, getting the upper hand, that I'm not going to say what all happened, but they made sure that I couldn't talk about anything. So let's get into it. All right. I was living in a townhouse, 2-story townhouse, and I'm on the outskirts of where I live in Elk City, Oklahoma. And there's a lot of things that have been going on that um, it's kind of like the more that they try to scare you, intimidate you, etc., it backfires in the more that they end up actually revealing. So, my grandparents, and now in the South, they are referred to, this a Southern term is Pampal and Mammal. And my Mammal, I loved her more than anybody in my life besides my soulmate. Strong woman, incredibly strong, highly intelligent. Farm. She was a farm girl all her life, and she married. When she married, Pampal had a farm, and their farm was right here, just on the outskirts, going east of Elk City. And Pampal was a man of very few words, and how many times that I wished that I had the knowledge that I would gain more into the early 2000s and stuff. I wish I had spoke with him about that, and even after my death experience, about the things that I was shown. He was always into pyramids and archaeological stuff and the soul and all that stuff. And like I said, he was a man of very few words, and I would later come to understand the importance of why it is good to be a person of very few words, because of the technology that we know about. Those who are in targeted individual support groups and organizations that have their own website, those are ones that I was very, very heavily involved in. Um, my Pampal, he had built some wooden pyramids, and this is information that I wish I would have spoke with him about these things. Tell me about this, because I know the story, this one particular story, and I can remember them, but I don't know the dimensions of stuff that he had. And he had built these wooden pyramids that were like about 6 or 8 foot tall, and he had three of them. And his grown son, who had kids of his own and lived kind of towards the end of the drive up to the farmhouse where my grandparents lived. Um, my uncle was very fond of Pomeranians, and one day his dog had got hit by a car, and vet said $20,000. It's broken hip and other injuries, and that's will be the starting $20,000. Of course, he didn't have that kind of money. And so my pampal told him, he says, "Well, put your dog in one of those pyramids and keep him there for about 6 weeks." And my uncle did that. And I don't know the exact time. To me, I kind of think it was maybe around 4 weeks that he had Whoop in it. That's what he called him, Whoop. And Whoop walked out of that pyramid completely healed. And so my pampal knew some big stuff. And like I said, I wish I had really talked to him about these things and my death experience in '92. I lost my pampal towards the late uh, '90s, I think it was, and my mammal not, but maybe a couple years later. But anyway, this one night, that when I had gone to bed, all of a sudden, I have these beings. I'm with them, and I'm inside this huge, huge, carved out marble structure, and it is of a cream color of cream and light tan, and just absolutely beautiful marbling. And I see that there are these cathedral, type stairs, and of course, they're enormously wide. I don't understand why that they always want a wide breadth of stairs, but like in Hollywood and stuff, they that's the way they do them. And we went up these stairs, and it was almost like like back in looking at the structures of Egyptian time. And so that's the way that the field, all the carving out and stuff that was in this structure, this marble structure. Excuse me. These beings, I can't even remember what they look like, but they open up this door, and I step in, and I see Mammal, and she's sitting in these kind of like 1940s, maybe 50s uh, type of chairs, that had that turquoise vinyl covering and that chrome piping, supports, for your arm supports, and of course the chair, like they had in diners and burgers and what have you, places. And she was just sitting there, and she's just looking straight forward. And I thought, well, this is a really strange, you know, place for her to be. And why is she just sitting there? It's almost like she's waiting. She's just sitting and waiting, and she doesn't acknowledge me. And I don't even know. I didn't even pay attention where these beings had gone to. Um, but I see all of a sudden, hanging from the ceiling, hanging down, are these huge um, crystals. They're polished. They're not. They don't have any points on them, and they're kind of about, would that be about 6 or 8 inches, and about 4 inches thick. And they all kind of had like a curvature to them. And there was fluid inside these crystals, and I never knew that crystals had fluid inside of them. And I knew I've got a lot of crystals. I learned about them in my death experience in October '92, and later that uh, the Dogon people would come to me and tell me how to use quartz crystals. That were all they could do. Very, very powerful. And I knew those were going to be very interesting to have. And I couldn't reach it, but there's a table, like a coffee table, round table there. I grab it and bring it over. There's one I want. And just as I was about to grasp it out, these reptilians came and told me that no, that I could not have any of them because they were very, very powerful crystals, and I would not know how to use them. And I was very angry about that. It was like, I do know how to use crystals. Absolutely. I know their powers. And so, you know, I was very offended, insulted by it. But they were engaging me in conversation about my Pampal. Now, these were these reptilians, and I don't know why that I didn't feel afraid. I never thought about that for a long time, and still, even when I think back on it, even right now, that I go, that's kind of a very crazy thing to have happen. It would be normal to feel quite fearful seeing these beings, but for some reason that I didn't have that. I wasn't fearful of them. Now they had, like I said, they had kind of a light coloring, kind of a very light tannish coloring on the front of them, and then kind of down the back of them was kind of a light, some areas kind of a jade green, and they didn't have the real long, elongated type of snout like you see with reptilians. These were kind of not as pronounced, but kind of looked kind of dinosauric, you know. And now they didn't speak. This was kind of like it was telepathic, and they were telling me that they had my Pampal there. Alvin was there, and really, and they said that he has never known love. He has never experienced love. And, you know, when my mammal, when it had come time to put her in a nursing home, her son and daughter-in-law took her up to Elk City Hospital. And so this is the old Elk City Hospital. So this is long before 2009. And it was going to be our opportunity to see her before they figure out whether a nursing home that they're going to take her to the following day. And she had been, of course, cognitively losing herself. But I had got up to where we're about 3 foot apart, and I was telling her that I love you. And it was like I could tell it wasn't registering. And I would tell her again, Mammal, I love you. And she kind of like got it, but I knew it hadn't quite registered. And I got her to lock in on my eyes. And I said, I love you. I love you. And she looks at me and she goes, you do love me, don't you? Yes. Yes, I do. It's my mammal. She had a hard life. Hard life. Hard life. And dear God, to be here, to be pretty much a prisoner here and on that friggin' farm that so many people used her. And if you did anything, gave her anything, she would just, that's the one thing you didn't do, because it meant that now she owed you. She owed you. And so that tells you that how bad the abuse and the very, very dark things that have been going on, especially on that farm. And she was terrified to come into Elk City for anything. She got to where that, and I mean, this is even back in the early 70s, that if there was anything that needed to be come into town for, she always sent Pampa in for it. She kept saying she was always afraid. She's afraid of these people. She's afraid of them. But these weren't these weren't the people that used to be here, and I never understood that until after I moved here in 1995 and caring for my mom and recovering from my own battle for my life with a fatal tumor. And anyway, they were telling me that they wanted him to experience love because Pampal he had gone to college to become an accountant, and his grandmother, which was an absolutely cruel, one of the most cruelest women, she should have not lived as long as she did. She made him stay on that farm and work that farm, and Pampa was no farmer. And them getting married, Mammal and Pampa getting married, was a deceptive marriage. And when she was held as much captive to the farm as he was, and so he was really a prisoner there. And Pampa was he was a man of very few words, and he was always on the go. Wherever he was going, he'd always go fast, 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 fast. You'd have to just run to keep up with him, you know. And always tinkering, always doing something. But like I said, you know, he did a lot of interaction with dimensions and the soul and the travels, and I wish that I had really asked him and spent time talking with him, just him and I, on a lot deeper subject content. But anyway, um, yeah, he was. I would say that that was very true of him. That he never really knew what real love was like, and I really didn't understand why in Reptilian, and they came back with, well, he's actually Reptilian, but you saw him in human form. He's in his natural form. Oh, he's Reptilian, huh? Yeah. And like I said, these, you know, I was never fearful of these reptilians. And so there's like about 4 or 5 of them. They're gathered at the store, and so, okay, bring him out. You know, they want me to um, to convey my love for him. And why this was so important, I don't know. I don't. I don't know. But anyway, he comes out and he's already, it's like he's got on these blue jean bib overalls, and it was like, you know, for right off the bat, my Pampal never wore bib blue jean overalls. It was always the coveralls that zipped up or snapped up, you know, that you always see, you know, it's pretty much the older men wore, especially back in his time. And and they motioned for me to come over, and and he had his that typical, you know, nothingness to him, and he was kind of looking down, and it was like, you know, that he's really not even sure why he was there, and what this was, I don't know, it was just really strange. And so they wanted me to convey to him, they wanted him to know what it felt like, what love felt like. And so, okay, that's easy because I loved him very much. And there was the time that especially when I spent my junior year here, that I helped him out a lot. And I did things for him that really not even his own son or grandkids, any of them would do. For example, like when he hired this one guy, this 16-year-old, to help out because I was going to school full time, working full time, and then all the other time that I had, I was working on the farm. And this kid ended up stealing a part from Pampal, and together we went to the home to get it. His parents weren't there, but him and his little brother was there, and he come out with a rifle, and it turned out to be a pellet gun, and he fired at us. And Pampal says, "Come on, let's go. It's not worth this." And we get to the house, and I thought, no, he's not. They're not going to do this. And so I called the kid, and I told him, I said, "I'll tell you this right now." I said, "You pulling that rifle out and shooting at us?" I said, "I can have you thrown in jail right now with very serious fines against you. And your little brother that was standing next to you, I can even have it where he is an accessory to this, and it will be attempted murder." And within 20 minutes, that kid had that farm equipment brought back. And yeah, there was things between us that was very special. So anyway, I go up to him and I tell him, and he said there's not this energy coming off of him. He's just kind of just this neutral. And I said, I looked at him. I said, "Pampal, I love you." And he looked at me, and he kind of had this blankness to him, and I repeated it. And I repeated myself, I think about 3 or 4 times, and it was like, it was kind of like he's kind of comprehending, but yet he wasn't comprehending. And I said, "Here, let me show you. Let me show you. I will convey it, you know." And my thinking is that to embrace him, the word that my chest, my soul here, up against his, that I would be able to inject that energy of love into him and wrap my arms around him. And I said, "I love you. I love you, Grandpa. I love you so much." And at one point, we kind of separated, and I could tell that this he experienced it, and it's like he's processing this. And at one point, that they all go, "Okay, take him back in," and then they take me down this corridor. I guess I decide that, well, they can show me more. And it opens up into this huge cave, and it's all marble floored stuff. And I mean, this is an enormous sized cave, and in the center of it is about this 50-foot hole, and it had this golden light that was beaming up out of it, and there were railings around it, so of course you don't walk off into it. And I didn't understand what this golden bright light is coming up out of there. I see this guy sitting at a council, computer bank council. And there came in a request for a person in a specialized field. And so he sits there, puts in this information, and all of a sudden it's like this clear card comes up, and it's got this picture of this person and their information, and this is the field that they're in, that they are that's what they specialize in. And he takes it and he puts it into the slot into the computer console, and it's like out of that light comes this person. Now I don't know if my thoughts have been is that I hope that this isn't the way that things really are like that. That our thoughts of what heaven is really like. That it can't be like this. It just, dear God, dear God, dear God, no, this just can't be true. This can't be true. And I sit there and I think back on my death when I died in October '92. I didn't see any of this kind of stuff. But what I did see was an octagon structure that had the cone shapes that you see in Asian structures, that have that cone shape to it. And then at the like the spines of it, they have the little tassels, around it. And this was top and bottom, and it was all gold, and it had gold windows to it, but they were transparent. And on either end of this octagon, the structure was enormous, enormous. Had it looked like black holes, but what they were about, because I was literally taken in. The only way that I could describe it, I was taken into the abode of whom we refer to as Creator, God, So, the Source, etc. And I experienced every thought, prayer, hope, wish, conversation, action, and all the assigning, directing, answering, everything, all this simultaneously, and I came up with this saying to kind of help define that what I was experiencing, what that was like is this: I am the sum of all things, and all things are the sum of me. But it was just over. It was so powerful, so incredible that all this could come in, and every little thing was being intended to you need some angels. Okay, dispatch the angels here. Got an emergency. Help stop this from happening. Or help tend to the emergency of this that's happening. And get this on route. And and this is, and I didn't feel that it was just from Earth. And so my experience, my death experience there, isn't quite lining up to this. I still don't quite understand it. There's some ways that I think that it is like the pyramids, because what I was shown about the pyramids is that the pyramids is they are also gateways, stargates. That's a good way to define pyramids. Besides that, what I've heard or read, that they talk about the Atlanteans when they were here, that them messing with, they had very powerful crystals, and copper and crystals are very valuable together. They're very powerful together. But the Atlanteans had messed with the earth to the point that it put it into a wobble. And basically, that's why they got the hell out of here, because, they were destroying Earth. And the archaeological information that was found on this said that they had to come up with a um, a way to stabilize Earth. And so, at very key intersections of ley lines, the pyramids were placed. And this is why that throughout the world that we are finding pyramids of all different types and sizes. And it said that once that they had placed these pyramids where they were, had them connected and running, that it stabilized the earth, and why we still got it today. And but I know that, well, we all know that they're not for tombs. You know, that's kind of like you just want to walk up to them, just slap the crap out of them, tell them, stop with the stupid talk. Just stop. Just friggin' stop with the idiotic crap. They're not tombs. They're not tombs. Highly powerful computers would be more like it. Very powerful. Like I said, stargates. So I think with whatever that this race is doing, that I don't know, maybe this is a way that they figure out how to be eternal, and I don't know any more about that which is in that light, that construct they had, than what I seen, but I do not believe, I do not get the sensation that that's where we go to, that when we pass on, those of us, I know I'm not reptilian. I know that. I know where I'm from. And so, but that's interesting. It's interesting nonetheless. And I want to add this into it. Their description of their um, did they have tails? No, I don't. I really there's some things in their features that was like, kind of like how I have this here. You can only see just so much. You can't see everything that's on either side of me. That's kind of the way that it was with them. And actually they weren't wearing any clothes. And so when they brought out who was supposed to be my Pampal, and he's in blue jean bib overalls, that kind of struck me kind of odd that he's dressed and others aren't dressed. There was no, showing what gender. There was nothing of that. I can't even tell you about their hands or their feet. It was kind of like um, they just had this reptilian look, and I can't tell you any more than that. That's really strange, isn't it? Well, they shave things off. They'll only let you remember what they want to let you remember, and why they would even let me remember this, I'm not even sure about that. Maybe it's because of my belief that I've had that just because something looks scary doesn't mean that it is scary. And I do want to add this part in because this being a shorter version, this ties into this, and so it's very interesting. And so after I had that experience, um, I'm really not sure how long it was later. It seems like to me that it was a very short period of time, and I would say within a year, maybe 6 months to a year. That's roughly in there. That my Pampal would come to me and come make another visit to me. And this time that, Pampal was bald on top, and of course had very, the buzz cut on the side. Well, he showed up in human form, and he's got full head of hair, snow white. He was wearing blue jeans, nice pair of blue jeans, and a nice light blue shirt, and it was like, wow, wow, Pampal, you look really good. Look handsome. Come with me. And in his fashion, he's taking off walking, and I'm trying to walk as fast as I can to keep up with him, and all of a sudden these worm-like things are falling out of the sky, and they're kind of a cone shaped, and they're kind of thick, and they kind of remind me on one end, where their mouth is, which was cylindrical, that the star nose mold, that had like little fingers, come out just so far around it. And the more that we walked, the more these things were inundating, and they looked to be only about maybe, what is that, 6 to 8 inches long, and they, at one end, I'd say that maybe they're like a couple inches around at the biggest. And me trying to find a spot where I'm not stepping on them, because I don't know what the heck these things are. And one lands on my thumb, and he stops, turns around, takes a hold of my hand, he grabs a hold of that, and he throws it down like it doesn't have permission to touch me. It does not have permission to access me. And I had this feeling right then that I knew that whatever this was about, that no harm is going to be allowed to happen to me. And so now I'm going to speed you up about 2 to 3 years later, and that's a guesstimation at it, that when all of a sudden Morgellons came out. And watching what Morgellons is, and knowing that this was literally dropped out of the sky and on communities, covering everything, so that when people went for walks or out in their garden or out in their yard or touching the car or anything, that these things were landing on them and latching on and burrowing themselves into the skin. And I knew right then that that's what my pampa was telling me about. That these things, this was coming. And I knew that I didn't have to be fearful of it, because I was protected. He showed me that he would protect me. He would not let this harm happen to me. And now, also, around this same time, that one evening around 7:30, I was in this one establishment, and this group, a small group, they're about maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 of them, come walking in, and it's a pool place. And I don't drink. I'm allergic to alcohol. I've got a soda in a glass, and I'm standing from the pool table where I'm at when they come in, and I'm only about maybe 15 steps away from the door. And one of them, this male, he looks to be between 21, 26 years of age. He just makes a beeline towards me. And the first thing that he says, he doesn't introduce himself or anything. What he says is, there is such thing as crystals that got fluid in it. And I just about dropped my glass because I never shared that with anybody. I looked for it, but I didn't talk to anybody around here about that. What the heck is that? I mean, that's really strange to have, it's strange for the reptilian stuff happening, but this is even more bizarre to have somebody that is intentionally sent in to come directly up to me and say there's such thing as crystals with fluid in them. I like to have one. I want one. They're very pricey, very high dollar. I want one, but I can't afford that. And so, they talk about that there are clans that are malevolent and benevolent. There are good clans and there are bad clans, just like in humans. There are clans that are good and ones that aren't good. But I never had any other type of interaction with the reptilians. So I guess I can say that I'm very fortunate that I had a good experience. But I tell you what, I think back on to that, and I think about where I've read, that there is like a jealousy that they cannot feel these emotions, and very jealous of us humans, and that's what makes some of them hate us. These are the things that I picked up through them, and I'm really not so sure that really was my Pampal. I kind of think that what may have really gone on is that maybe this one is kind of a higher level reptilian, and maybe it was to act meek with me so that it could see if I could project that love, that particular type of energy, and then maybe to go back in, and that for them to work on this to where that they could, I know sounds wild. Well, what it isn't about this, it doesn't sound wild, but maybe be able to create from it the ability that they can experience it, and that would help advance them. And if that be so, then that would mean that this particular race of reptilians are the ones that are here helping us. We're helping each other. And it's something that we have been trying to find out. Of course, with the disclosure, they're not going to give us disclosure of this kind. So maybe that the reason why that I am thinking about this and wanting to share this at this time is because that, and we have been getting told that here in June there's supposed to be the UFO alien disclosure. Of course, I don't believe that. Nobody really believes that. These people are professional liars. They are not going to tell us the truth. They're just going to keep treating us like idiots. And maybe this is something that these particular reptilians are helping to defeat, to get rid of these who are doing all the harm and terrible things to us. And maybe this is through me that I shared this, and so that it helps to bring down that heightened level of fear of the unknown, and those that had the most unfortunate experience with the terrible reptilians. Maybe that this is a me being a voice for them, because I didn't feel that. And even right now, that I could feel this love. I could feel I could feel this love. And so I don't, maybe this is part of the mystery of why so adamant to get me to Elk City, to get me here. And if so, I sure need their help, because I've had an attempt on my life in May of this year, 2021. Today is June 14th, 2021, Monday. And this man, Sam Johnson, who's a mechanic in Sarah, Oklahoma, stole $3,100, fake repairs, didn't fix the brakes of my truck, and I absolutely, we would find out, I would find out a terrible way that he didn't fix them. But I was able to avoid not only me getting taken out, but construction workers and people, loved ones in the oncoming lane, and loved ones that were right there 10 feet from the opposite lane where the gas pumps were. I am not getting cooperation from the police, even the DA, because now that the brakes were worked on, and the drum master cylinder, the brakes, the seal on it was completely gone, and fluid flowing right out. The master cylinder underneath the hood, the fluid was pretty much not any in there. And so yeah, no doubt, this man embezzled this money and tried to kill me. So it moved from a civil case to, this is attempted murder. It's a criminal case. And I have stated that if he ends up paying for every mechanical repair, everything that needs to be changed out, all of it, complete tune-up, whatever that truck needs, and also the missing parts that he took off of it, all of it, that truck is 100% completely road solid worthy, that I will not have to worry one bit about anything breaking down. The truck has had to sit for several years before I could even, the stimulus check, that's what he stole. It was the only way that I could get the truck fixed. So that he fixes the truck, plus he's going to compensate me for what he's done. He's threatened me, he came after me with a wrench in his hand, threatened me when I'm trying to get receipts, and oh no, he don't want me to have those receipts because it'll sink him for certain what he's doing in this embezzlement game. But like I said, pay me for the repairs and compensate with however much money that I say. He's gonna write that check. So he's not only gonna fix the truck, it's not gonna just end with him completely fixing my truck over what he did, because this man tried to take my life. And he's built monster truck. He's got a lot of money. I know where he lives. I've seen what he's got. Yeah, he's very well to do. So completely restores my truck, writes me a check for what I say, and he doesn't go to jail for attempted murder. So benevolent reptilians and beings, how about lending me a hand? Because, sir, I can't get justice in that town. So I need a helping hand. Show us. Show us. You don't have to come out in the open. You can sit there and come to me the way that they did, where they could do it with them and direct them. Better do this. But anyway, I've I've been put through so much that I know I know what I talk about. And even though that I talk about it in such a nonchalant way, that's not an indication that this is made up. Uh, Of course, this is not made up. Absolutely, it's not made up. It's not even more made up than me talking about the Dogon, which is also known as the dolphin people. And you can go to the oceans, and that's them. They were the ones who came to me, teaching me about quartz crystals, and I have even been taken to their planet. And the one that has shown up was also was one of the others that showed up when I was taken to Sirius. But anyway, please leave a feedback in the comment section. I feel a lot better about this one than the other one that I did. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm trying my best to get my experiences out there and get better at it. And please ask away any questions. I do my best to always check for any comments on my videos and answer them just as soon as I get notified of them. And yeah, we're in very strange times, but doesn't mean it's bad times. It means that things are coming to light again, and that we are able to see what really is, and know that we really don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be afraid. We're very powerful beings, and there are races that that are that do care about humans and this planet, and they're very, very good races. And I have seen many forms of them. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful forms. And soon I'll talk about those. I will tell you about it. Matter of fact, I'll do this. I'll do a video and it'll be titled The Dogons. And I'll share with you what my experience has been with them. Um, Thank you for giving me of your time in watching this video. I hope you and your loved ones are safe and well. You're doing good. And may you always be blessed. May you always be well. And may you always be at peace. Take care, everyone.